Today, I want to tell you about generative media. So, zooming out a little bit from fashion and talking about just visual content and how AI is changing that. I am one of the co-founders of a company called Fal. Fal stands for Features and Labels. And before Fal, I was at Coinbase leading machine learning in the kind of now old world of machine learning, fighting fraud. And I'll tell you, like, from our point of view, what kind of happened in the last, what seems like a lifetime to me, but in just 2.5 to 3 years. So at Fal, what we do is we host models that can generate images and videos, and we call this space generative media. And we host open source models. We have an inference engine that can run these models at 2 to 3 times like typical speeds. We also host closed source models. You may be familiar with VO, Kling, Flux. And so I want to go back. I guess this is April 6, 2022. So this was a very big moment for me. This is like late COVID. And basically, I don't know, does anyone remember this post? Maybe? Yeah. So Sam Altman was basically sending these AI-generated images, and he was taking requests from his followers, and he would just post these photos. And it was one of the most magical moments in the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years of my life. And I literally couldn't believe my eyes that this was happening. I think this is, again, just to put things in perspective, this is like pre-ChatGPT era. I think GPT-3 maybe was around, but this was like a pretty magical moment. And it really felt like OpenAI is, gonna take over the world. Like if they can do this magical thing, imagine what else they could do. And you might wonder, if you're following this space, you would say, well, this is not new, right? This kind of goes back, right? Like this is one of the latest iterations, but we started with GANs, and there's a whole history to being able to generate images and video with AI. And this is Deep Dream, which was this weird algorithm that Google released in 2015. I was seeing some head nods. I actually ended up, and Wissam maybe, he was my roommate, and Sinchan designed this app. So I didn't build our algorithm, but I did build an application that was generating these weird images. And this, at the time, it was very small, and the infrastructure required to run this was actually pretty tiny. In fact, I bought a GPU. There was no cloud GPUs back then. This is only 2015. I bought a GPU, assembled it, ran it from my bedroom, and this was kind of the start of this exciting field. And Prism was another application where you could make these funny filters. Again, if you're in this space, maybe you're saying, this wasn't the start either. So in fact, this whole space, combining art and computers, went back basically to the start of computers, right? So this is, I guess, 60s, 70s. This guy, Harold Cohen, he built a machine that can draw AI, real human-like images with machines. And I think humans have just been very excited about combining art and computers for a long time. So soon after DALL-E 2, what happened in this space was pretty amazing. We saw Midjourney, you may remember this photo, and we saw a bunch of open source models. So it looked like maybe the space was really, maybe there was no magic. Maybe it was easier than we thought. And right around this time, we basically started focusing on this in this space because I personally was very excited, and it really felt like this space is gonna blow up. And the real implication of this is that marginal cost of creation is approaching zero. And whenever this happens, we saw this with chips, we saw this with many things, a lot of things change. And so, we believe that, fashion, movies, music, gaming, e-commerce, all of these spaces are going to be impacted by the power of these models. And if you, even before AI, you would actually look at, how software has actually been eating media with streaming technologies. And, the dark purples here are more the tech companies. And, most of media now is also, big part of, it's driven by tech. And another large implication of this is, I think, like Maria talked about, personalization in general. And this is not just for fashion, but also in many areas. And this is maybe a little bit ahead of its time, but a hyper-personalized ad campaign that we did for A24 Civil War movie. So this became viral. There was actually millions of generations. You could opt in to show your AI toy soldier in Times Square. And another space that's being impacted is e-commerce in general. And you can basically imagine a world where all of shopping is just driven by AI, and generative media is going to enable essentially this personalized shopping experience. This is a market map for fashion. You can see Daydream there. Congrats, you made it to the Andreessen landscape charts. And yeah, so virtual try-on. This is just a simple use case. And fast forward, I guess 2 years later, there was this other moment. This is supposed to be a video, but this is February 2024. And when this happened, it was also a very big moment for us, where again, I did fall on my chair again, but this time I knew the space is going to catch up, and open source is going to also produce really good video models, and that did happen. And one of the ways we track this whole space and what's next is through our own usage. So of Fal's own revenue, this is a little bit outdated, but in February, we were close to 20% in video generations in terms of our revenue. And right now, this number is more around 50%. So it's still, between images and videos, video is still in very early days. And in general, video is 20 times more compute intensive, so to generate videos is very, very expensive. It's much more engaging, as you know, from your feeds. And so video market is extremely large. And currently, the video models are getting better. I don't know if you've played around with Veo or Sora, but they're getting more engaging and more capable. And what the future we're excited about in terms of video is that there's going to be a time where we're going to have real-time video. We're going to have cheaper generation of video. And what this enables is really new areas of media creation. What I'm excited about personally is not necessarily Hollywood or replacing Hollywood. It is the ability for just creators, solo creators, to be able to build games and video, basically long form or short form content. Yeah, so this is a quick history of generative media, and if you're interested, shameless plug, joining us, go to Fal.ai Careers.